Right, you might recall earlier on I saw a need to try and straighten up that gutter edge a little bit, but what I decided to do is actually replace a fair bit of it. So I've put a new piece in from that point there up to that point there. Possibly could have gone a little bit further up to there, but it looks okay. The thing looks so much better than that bent piece. That necessitated, of course, then having to tidy up the edge there where that gutter's been welded onto the top of the shroud. That little skim of that fiberglass there has fixed that up, so I'll have to prime that again and get that all finished off, ready for the painting process. But yeah, I'm much happier with the new piece in there. So yeah, we've got a new guttering now from there right around to the other side of the back. Well, I seem to be striking a little bit like lightning around here with this restoration, but I've been doing a little bit of other work other than the body, and I've got the engine block back from being machined, and got that all cleaned up and in a primer. The block actually needed a sleeve put in #1 cylinder. It had some water damage. The other bores were in really good order, so they've just been honed out. So we're getting ready to rebuild the engine. A couple of other bits there, all cleaned up, and then primer, and the sump. Likewise, sump's a little bit knocked around on the bottom, but it's not too bad. With a few coats of paint on there, that'll hopefully tidy up a little bit better. But they are pretty old, so you can't expect too much. And from there, we've got the oil filter canister, front pulley, thermostat housing, and another part of the oil filter. I didn't paint that, just left that in cleaned metal. So a little bit of that now happening. Also doing a little bit of work on the diff in the rear end. Bearing carriers all cleaned up, backing plates. That's the diff centre there, and yeah, getting ready to put that back together as well. So a few other things happening in the scheme of things. Right, well, I've been doing some work on this engine rebuild and installing the pistons with new rings, and I found something quite interesting. The person who built this engine previously has put two of the pistons on in the opposite direction to the other two. Now piston 1 and 3 have been put on the same way around, and piston 2 and 4 likewise. Now these pistons aren't marked with a dot or any inscribing that indicates which is the front, so I take it they go either way, but it's interesting that 1 and 3 are the same, and 2 and 4. Now, I thought that being a little bit odd, because if they were installed with the pistons all facing the same way, the big ends would be opposite one another on those cylinders that were where the piston was mounted differently. So I had another set of pistons, so I decided to check them and see how they were mounted. And there's a 1 and 3 piston there, and the front of the piston is facing downwards on both of those in that position. And if you have a look at the big end, they're opposing one another. Now that would mean that when the piston was installed with the front facing the front, those big ends would be opposite. Now that didn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, so I went to my workshop manual, and what it says is that all the con rods are to be placed into the engine facing the same way, and with the head of the bolt holding the gudgeon pin, or the rod to the gudgeon pin, facing towards the camshaft on the engine. Now, I'm not sure whether two people have interpreted things incorrectly in building these two engines previously, or whether I've interpreted incorrectly, but going by the workshop manual, what I'm saying is that the rods are placed into the block all facing the same way, with the nut up inside the piston at the little end, all facing the camshaft. Now hopefully you'll be able to see down in there, but that's number 1, and the head of the bolt is facing the camshaft, as in number 2, as in number 3, and as in number 4. It's a little bit dark down there, but I can assure you that it is facing the correct way. So we've got the new timing chain and tensioner installed. The water pump was in excellent condition, so I've just sandblasted, or not sandblasted, but cleaned it up and painted that. I've got the new cam followers ready to put in, and I've cleaned the oil pump up. I've got to buy a new oil strainer. The one I have had a little tear in the strainer part, so I'll replace that. Yeah, that's the strainer, and you can see just a little tear there, so we don't want that to deteriorate and send bits and pieces of metal through the engine. It was interesting, this one is actually, the top part of it was bent. Normally I think they're flat, so I don't know what the go was there, but anyway, new one of those we'll have to order, and I've currently got the head away, getting overhauled, getting the valve seats replaced so we can run unleaded petrol and whatever else needs to be done to it. So once we get that back and buy a clutch, we'll be able to put all this together. and we'll pretty much have a drivetrain from the engine back to the diff all done. I've actually bought a new radiator, so yeah, a little bit of progress happening in the restoration away from the bodywork that I've been concentrating on. If anyone's got any comments about what I've found in these engines regarding the conrod and piston placement, I'd be interested to know if I'm wrong or the other people are wrong. But as far as my shop manual goes, I think I've got it pretty right. Well, thanks for your interest, and they tell me if you get a few subscribers, more people get to see these productions. So if anyone wants to subscribe, please do. There's nothing in it for me, but if other people can benefit from the things that I've been able to find out, and then it's better for everyone. Thanks for your interest.